This week on the Honor Roll podcast, we will be talking to honor students and USF Provost Emeritus about public policy, advocacy, and their experiences in the newly founded Wilcox Scholars program. Stay tuned. Hey Honors Bulls, welcome to the Honor Roll podcast, the flagship podcast of the Judy Genshaft Honors College Podcast Network. I'm your host, Fabiana Requena, a third-year student studying marketing and business analytics at the University of South Florida and a proud member of the Honors College. Today, my co-host is Reva Gandhi, a third-year student studying biomedical sciences and public health with a minor in nutrition. Welcome, Reva. It's nice to have you on the podcast.
Hi, Fabiana. It's so exciting to be here today.
And as always, we like to start off the podcast with one big question. So my question today is, how do you like to get involved in your community?
So the first thing I like to do is really just see what's out there, get involved in things that you don't normally get involved in. I volunteer at a free clinic, which is really cool because you get to see all sides of healthcare.
What do you do at the clinic?
I do quality control, so I make sure the prescriptions are written, I make sure labs are written properly, things like that, and then just making sure the clinic flows smoothly. How do you get involved?
I think being involved in your community can come in many different ways, whether that's through volunteering. Personally, I run a business. I feel like I am helping smaller businesses with their marketing and advertising needs. So I think that's how I help the community.
That sounds really cool, Fabi. Speaking of community engagement, today we will be joined by honor students Sandra Napolitano, Nico Lavaud, and Vanessa Quiroz, and USF Provost Emeritus and current honors professor Dr. Ralph Wilcox to talk about public advocacy and civic engagement.
I'm Charles Adams. I'm the Judy Genshaft Endowed Honors Dean at the Judy Genshaft Honors College at USF. My favorite honors memory is hard to identify. I have so many wonderful memories. But one recent event that stands out is the opening of our beautiful new building on the Tampa campus. It is the finest honors facility in the country, and I am so proud of what we've achieved here.
Today we are joined by honor students Sandra Napolitano, Nico Lavaud, Vanessa Quiroz, and USF Provost Emeritus and current honors professor Dr. Ralph Wilcox. Welcome to the podcast. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Vanessa Quiroz. I'm a second-year exercise science major with a minor in public service and leadership, and I am a part of the Wilcox Scholars program.
Morning, I'm Nico Lavaud. I am a second-year student as well, political science and economics double major, minor in sociology, and I'm also part of the Wilcox Scholars.
Hi, I'm Sandra. I am also a second-year student studying criminology and minoring in deaf studies and intelligence studies. I'm also a Wilcox Scholar, and for those of you who recognize the name, I'm also the producer of this podcast.
And good morning. I'm Ralph Wilcox. I'm professor in the Judy Genshaft Honors College.
Thank you all so much for joining the podcast today. For those who aren't familiar, the Wilcox Scholars Program is one of the multiple scholarship programs housed in the Honors College. It has a very distinct structure and purpose. So can you start off by telling us what the Wilcox Scholars Program is, how it started, and what inspired it?
Well, let me start. This is the brainchild of Dean Adams. Having said that, it's a long overdue and much-needed program intended to provide students who are passionate about and committed to public service and public policy to provide them the skills and the programming to make them more competitive in the field.
So going off of that, since this program is new and you guys are the first cohort, how are you guys building it?
Well, we're really taking it one step at a time. This semester's been really our first major semester, but pretty rough due to the hurricanes left and right. But what we're trying to do really is help each other, build each other up, and also try to get more involved in our USF community and open, people's eyes to, public policy, and other things of that nature, really.
We're really into civic engagement.
I was looking for that. Civic engagement.
I heard the scene. I was like, yeah,
I was going to say civil
engagement.
disobedience, but not that.
We, especially because we had the election this semester, we focused a lot on not only creating a safe space for people to learn about the election and learn about what they were voting on, but giving them the information on how do you vote, how do you register to vote, where do you vote,
And why it's important.
Where can you go if you aren't a Hillsborough County resident? Do you have to go home? How do you get a mail-in ballot? Those kinds of things.
Let me add that it's all about providing opportunities to our students. I suggested earlier that it's a long overdue program. Certainly, I'm honored and humbled to lend my name to it, but it's not about me. It's about our students. It's about the communities we serve and providing them the value added beyond their major, where they certainly acquire much of the knowledge that will serve them in their future careers. But we add some expertise around mentoring, around coaching, experiential education, including internships and placements in the real world, as well as essential skill development, which students regrettably don't always receive in their regular curricula at the university. So skills in critical thinking and communication and such like.
For the students, what inspired you or what kind of pushed you to join the Wilcox Scholars program?
So I can actually speak on this because as an exercise science major, I may not be this may not be the first thing to come to mind as far as extracurriculars, but I was actually recommended by one of my honors professors from my first year, and I had seen this in the honor roll, and I sort of dismissed it because I was like, this doesn't seem like the perfect thing for me. This is probably going to be like mostly political science majors. But then I looked more into it and it said public service, leadership, engagement. And I was like, even though I'm not a political science major, this is definitely still up my alley and sort of like a side passion of mine, especially because I want to go into public health, which a lot of public health has to do with policy. So this was a perfect avenue for me to get more engaged, especially since a lot of my peers in the Wilcox Scholars program are political science majors, and they do know a bit more than me in that sort of avenue. I get to learn a lot from them on top of the different activities that we've been to and the events that we've been exposed to, like having dinner with the mayor. It's just been a really great opportunity to sort of expand my horizons and explore a different passion of mine than just straight health, because public policy is so important to so many things.
So now, being a public health major, what perspective do you bring to the Wilcox Scholars that your political science majors might not?
Yeah, so public health has a lot to do with public policy because you're not going to make the changes that you would like to make if you're not working in junction with policymakers with different things regarding healthcare systems, health education, like in schools, for example, like making sure that kids know how to eat healthy, that they're being provided the healthy foods in school, like lunches, physical education, making sure that they're getting like 1 hour, 45 minutes every single day, like things like that may not be like on the top of someone's mind when they're thinking about public policy, but it like all comes together, and like everything that you see like in our school systems around the community, like it all has to do with public policy, and that's something as a health perspective that is on the forefront of my mind.
That's one thing we've really been exposed to in the Wilcox Scholars program, is that you don't have to be one specific major, you don't have to be one specific interest. We've got a lot of majors in the Wilcox Scholars: economics, political science, exercise science, criminology, environmental. We had a digital design student too, I believe, at least a minor. So we're a very interdisciplinary group. It's actually quite fun. When I first saw the honor roll posting for it, I didn't think I was going to be interested in it. As a crim student, I was like, I'm military law enforcement. That's all. That's what I'm going to do. And then I plan to actually graduate this upcoming spring. And then our assistant dean for student success, Dr. Lucian, sat me down and goes, I think you should stay. He's like, I think you should stay a little bit longer. He's like, you can get a lot more out of this. We will give you our all and find you a bunch of things to do to get you truly prepared for what you want to do in life. So he wrote my recommendation letter for the Wilcox Scholars, And when I joined, it's honestly probably been one of my best experiences in college so far. We've only been here a year and a half, but even though we technically started late in the spring for Wilcox Scholars, I've been able to do so much because of this program.
I find that's the beauty of the Wilcox Scholars. I went into it because, not to bash, STEM majors, but USF is a STEM-based school. And when I learned about it through my advisor, Megan Bronstein, I was like, you know what, this is something for me. And I walked into it thinking that it would only be poli-sci, econ majors. But, meeting Vanessa and all the others and seeing how the one thing that connects us all is our drive and passion for public policy. Like, no matter what major you are, you want to do something in your field that will affect people in a good way. And so I find that being able to be in our little community, having the support from Dr. Wilcox and our advisor, Kate Ashmore, it's been a really great experience. And I'm really looking forward to the next 3 years together.
Let me add, if I can, that this program isn't only for those students who are aspiring to elected office, whether it's at the local, statewide, or federal level. As you've heard, the strength of the program is the diversity of backgrounds, the diversity of experience that students bring from their own majors, from a broad range of majors, and we learn from one another. I know I do on a regular basis as I meet with the students.
As a professor and a lifelong educator, what do you hope to see that this program brings to students?
Well, I hope a broader range of experiences and opportunities for them. That's a major driver for the University of South Florida. This has always been a student-centered university, one that's dedicated to providing increased opportunities and greater success in, if you will, competing for opportunities in the wider world. And I have every expectation, as every day I meet with these students, that they will realize those goals for us and for themselves.
So that listeners get a better idea of what you do on a day-to-day basis, can you tell us what a typical meeting might look like, or what a favorite activity in the program has been?
So we don't do the characteristic of general body meetings that most student orgs do. I don't think we've had a meeting that looks the same.
They're all different.
They're all different. We had our first meeting in the spring, and we all got to introduce ourselves, get to know about each other, learn about Dr. Wilcox, Kate Ashmore, and it was really just a meeting to recognize that we get to build this from the ground up to what we want it to be, which was cool. And then this semester we had one technically before the semester started, roughly technically summer, to go over what we wanted to do with this election cycle with things, and we got to plan a lot of stuff. And then we had our first in-person meeting, and Dr. Wilcox actually brought in guest speakers to talk to us. So it was very different from what we'd been before, but it was also so cool to see the USF side of public policy and what USF does in the policy world, not just what we think they are doing for us. And then we had more meetings about things we wanted to do. And then we actually had a dinner with the mayor last Friday. Him and his wife came, and it was actually
it was a fun dinner.
It was fun.
The mayor of
we had a
Tampa,
fun time.
or?
No, the mayor of Temple Terrace.
Okay.
Mayor Andy Ross. It was a fun time.
Yes. Especially because his wife is a professor here in the crim department. So not only did I get to ask questions about the policy things that I liked, I also got to ask her questions about, criminology and my thesis and things like that. So it was a super fun dinner.
Our meetings, we don't, have as Sandra was saying, we don't have the president, we don't have an e-board or things of that nature. It's really just us, the scholars, Kate, Dr. Wilcox, and we will meet, I think our next meeting's in December to go over what we're going to do for the spring. And we're meeting in regards to what internships do we want to look into? What guest speakers do we want to speak to? So it's about a way to build ourselves up professionally and personally in the Wilcox Scholars, and to build our program up as well from the ground.
Definitely. I think most of the meetings is just a great opportunity for Kate to hear feedback from us, to see what do we want to make out of this, setting objectives and goals for ourselves, and seeing how much of a reach we can make in the USF community and outside of it, and seeing how Nico and Sandra are saying, just how we can continue to help ourselves and our program grow as well.
That's really cool. And obviously you've done a lot as a group, but is there any opportunities that you guys have had individually due to this program?
So, funnily enough, all three of us are in a class that was kind of marketed towards the Wilcox Scholars. It's taught by Hillsborough County Commissioner Harry Cohen. We get to go on a bunch of different field trips and things like that. We toured fire rescue last week. We are actually going to National Adoption Day at Busch Gardens this Friday. We went to the Tampa Hillsborough Homeless Initiative breakfast. We've gotten to meet a lot of cool people, which was just like a thing that generally all the scholars were able to do. And then Kate Ashmore has been really good at finding very niche internships and very niche like conferences and things like that. So just after the Scholars started, most of us didn't think we would really do much until fall happened. We figured it was like one of those things where like, oh, yep, we get in here now, but everything we're doing is in the fall. Kate kickstarted right away, and she actually helped me get a spot at the Harvard Kennedy School Public Policy and Leadership Conference. I was one of 75 students in the nation, one of 2 students in Florida, and the only USF student to attend. She's also helped me apply along with ONS and Dr. Basu for the PPIA JSI Summer Fellowship. So we've done a lot. And then Dr. Lucian and Kate and Dr. Basu again, and Dan Woods actually helped me get a position in the Future Strategist program at the Global and National Security Institute, which Nico is also in. So we've gotten a lot of other opportunities, not only on campus, but across the nation, which has been extremely great.
And the support system that we have from both Kate Ashmore, Dr. Wilcox, and each other, really, since it's a program where we're all vying for either the same things or different things, but we're always helping each other and building each other up. Like, oh, you want to do this? I could help you with this. You want to do that? I know so-and-so. Like, and Dr. Wilcox, especially when you meet with him one-on-one and have those meetings with him, he will help you and go through, those applications, those internships. He'll help you with a statement of interest and things of that nature. So the support system that we have as scholars, it's really, really been amazing.
Yeah, it didn't actually end up happening because of the hurricanes, but we planned an event for civic engagement on the election for this semester. It unfortunately got canceled. It was supposed to be right before the election, but most of us were sitting here like, oh, we wanted this out of the event, but we couldn't think of how to get there, how to get the speakers we wanted, how to get the information we wanted. So Dr. Wilcox and Kate were like, here are the things we can do. And then a scholar who's not actually here, God Love, he worked wonders in getting some amazing guest speakers here, Fox News, Women's League of Voters. So it was learning the connections that other people have that you either don't have or didn't think were possible to have at our age has been eye-opening.
And we're only halfway through the first year with the spring semester to go and 2 years to follow. So we're all incredibly excited about opportunities at every level of public policy, public service. Again, whether it's the local level, city and county, statewide opportunities, or even federal and international exposure, which we have planned for the spring semester.
Yeah, so with this program being new, how has your relationship with each other changed over the last year? And or how has your relationship with yourself changed? How have you grown as a person?
Yeah, so I actually got a unique opportunity to work very closely with Jaslyn, who is not here today, but she's also one of the Wilcox Scholars. And unfortunately, with the hurricane, the event that Sandra was talking about was not able to happen. But Jaslyn and I did get to work very closely together for a very long time, maybe a little bit more than we expected, because like Sandra was saying, we had a meeting over the summer to sort of like plan what did we want to do for like the upcoming election specifically, since that was a big thing that we could definitely work on for civic engagement and advocacy and getting students engaged in voting. So Jaslyn and I signed up to do some marketing for the Wilcox Scholars program. And at first we thought it was just going to be maybe like one graphic or one reel. And we had a meeting with Dana with marketing at the Honors College. And it turned into about 3 reels, I think. And then we did an Instagram takeover on election day, and we made a graphic. So we spent a lot of time together, needless to say, going back and forth with like editing and answering requests and creating the different like scripts and everything. But it was a lot of fun. And I definitely think that I probably know her more than the rest of the Wilcox Scholars as of right now, just because we did work so closely together. But at our last meeting, we did talk about doing a lot more things like together as a group or teaming up to tackle different projects. So I'm really excited to get to know more people on that same level. But I did definitely have a unique experience getting to work so closely with her. And I definitely think that we're becoming friends, and it's been really great to become closer and get to know people in our group, for sure.
What kind of feedback did you receive from making all that content?
So feedback from our reels and stuff, we actually got a lot of feedback specifically from the election day takeover. People were responding to the stories or responding to either me or Jaslyn like directly, that it was apparently very helpful, especially because we actually found a number for the I can't remember. I think the Officer of Elections.
Yeah, the election office. We were at the MSC. And there were students who were being turned away from voting because on election day, people didn't realize that you can't vote at the MSC unless you live on campus. And so we went there to go help the kids who were being turned away so that they could go to their correct polling sites that are by their apartments off campus. And we were able to find the number, and we told people about the number to call the office to get your correct site.
Yeah, so that was amazing. A lot of people reached out saying that they used the number. They were able to like change their address, so they were able to like vote that day because otherwise they would not have voted. So that was an amazing opportunity for sure. And it definitely reached a lot of people. We wish we would have posted it earlier in the day because we didn't find out until a bit later. But the time that we did post it, we were still able to reach a good amount of people.
That day.
Yeah. So that was definitely amazing.
How does that make you feel that you were able to help people vote?
I felt great.
Yeah, I think it was great because being a part of this program, we talk about civic advocacy and engagement and trying to make a difference. And it's all great to say the things, but when you like hear someone specifically reach out, like, hey, I used this number and I was able to vote and this happened because you guys provided this to me, it was very rewarding.
We actually didn't plan to help people vote that day. We were just going to do the videos and everything. And when we went to the MSC, there were these 2 girls there that were helping people find their correct polling place, but there were just so many people that were being turned away by the poll workers and not being told where to go. We were like, why don't we just stay and, help? And I remember there was this one girl with a mail-in ballot, and there was like 30 minutes till the post office nearby closed. So we were like, go there. And then she was like rushing out. And no matter which way you feel about the results, it just felt really, really good being able to say that you are involved in this and say that you help so many people, cast their ballots.
Are you interested in graduate study, prestigious scholarships, studying abroad? Serving all 3 USF campuses, the Office of National Scholars, ONS, mentors USF students for prestigious awards and scholarship programs focused on research, international education, graduate study, and intellectual development. If you're interested in applying for awards like Fulbright, Rhodes, or Marshall, don't wait. Meet with an ONS advisor to discover what's possible. You can visit the ONS website or drop by their office on the 2nd floor of the Judy Genshaft Honors College building to learn more.
One of the great takeaways of that event, I think, is for students to understand, and this will be important for students that may be considering applying to the Wilcox Scholars program in the future, that we're a nonpartisan group, whether Republican, Democrat, or maybe there's another political ideology that you embrace. That doesn't factor into the program whatsoever. This is all about enhancing public policy, public service opportunities for our students. And in fact, we welcome a breadth of ideological viewpoint, not that we dwell on that throughout the program.
Have you had any political discussions when you get together, or what is...
I think generally most of us have the same ideal of we just need to be better human beings. And I think that combines a lot of our ideologies for any of us who think differently on certain things. I think individually, some of us have had small political discussions, especially for those of us that are in the commissioner's class. But we focus on what we can do as people, not the things we disagree on. So it's not like we sit in our meetings and we're like, oh, this is who I voted for. Who you voted for was wrong. Like, we don't believe in that. So I think a few of us have shared who we voted for, why we voted for things. A few of us talk to each other on, here's what I know about this certain thing, like the Florida amendments and things like that. Like, here's where you can find information. Here's where I found information. But I don't think any of us have had any sort of like arguments or anything. I think we're all pretty level-headed with each other on
Policy, not politics.
Yes.
And we all recognize that perhaps like no other time in history, American democracy needs skilled and passionate public servants and policy experts. And that's been a big part of the drive of this program, I think.
No, I really love that. I think you said it best, Nico, policy, not politics, because we really do need to listen to each other to understand the bigger picture. But now, as this program is growing, Dr. Wilcox, what do you hope to be able to introduce to the cohort with this cohort and for future years?
Well, I think first and foremost, we're going to remain on the track we've been on. Greater focus, perhaps, on skill development, on building confidence, on communication, both written and spoken communication. We're going to perhaps spend a little more time on civil discourse, argument, and debate, and be able to present alternate viewpoints so that, again, we're better prepared to address the challenges that our students and future graduates are going to face in the real world. We're going to expand the reach from local. You heard that we met with Mayor Ross from Temple Terrace just last week. Several of our students are in a class with a county commissioner. We're going to expand that reach to statewide government and institutions, eventually to the federal government in the nation's capital. And for those students that are so inclined, we'll look into foreign affairs and provide broader opportunities there as well. So it's think of it as starting local and expanding statewide, nationally, and internationally, so that students develop a broader awareness of public policy issues and, for them, opportunities for the future.
Wow, it definitely sounds like you have a lot of room for growth, but you've already done so much already, which is incredible. You've mentioned skill a couple times now. How have you seen this cohort grow individually and as a group, skill-wise?
Well, I think already what's noticeable is the level of confidence that is building. And again, many of our students enter the program feeling that a pretty strong sense of self-worth and confidence. But that's going to grow as they meet with external constituents at all levels. So I think we're on the right path. There's still lots of opportunities that will be realized, and largely through experiential education, internships and placements, whether throughout the fall or spring semester or even into the summer.
I wanted to ask, for those students who are listening that are interested in becoming Wilcox Scholars, how can they apply? What does the process look like? And you mentioned recommendations before, so can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the application process, it's not a normal application. I went into it thinking I was going to write like 2 essays, do a recommendation letter, just like a statement of purpose kind of thing. But it was actually a video submission, which I found really cool. I know you guys didn't, but as somebody who works in the AV studio, we had a lot of equipment that was new that we hadn't yet been able to use in a real sense. So I got to use it to record my video. So not only did I get to, play with some of the toys in the studio, I got to make a really impactful video, I think. And it was scary at first because I think we were, I don't remember what time we were limited to, but we were limited to a time. And like 3 minutes.
3 to 5, something like that nature.
Yeah. So I wrote like a 500-word essay, like most applications require, and I was like, oh, I can do this in the time limit. And I'm sitting there recording, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I can do this in the time limit. So in most applications, you're just learning your writing skills, but this showed your writing skills and then your speaking skills. Can you speak in a calm tone? Can you speak at a decent pace to where you're not, blabbering pretty much, but also you're not speaking super slowly? So it was a fun experience. And then I believe it was only one letter of recommendation. I think almost all of our letters of recommendation were very different people. Some of us chose professors. I chose Dr. Lucian. So we all had very different videos, but in different senses, it showed us like who we truly are, and it was super fun.
Yeah, I actually had a good experience with my video as well. It asks you a bit about like your prior involvement in like public policy and like engagement and stuff like that as well a bit. And like I said, I'm not like a political science major. I'd never really thought about doing much with that in my life, but it really made me reflect on maybe I have had more experience with this than I think. Like I had been to a school board meeting and like and participated in public comment and different things like that. So I was able to reflect on that, actually build my confidence through making the video. Like, hey, maybe I do belong here, and I could contribute to this group. And like she said, it was a little bit hard to fit everything that I wanted to say in the 3 minutes. But I remember I was at my job, like had my computer up on like a windowsill trying to get good lighting and just like taking a couple different takes of the video and then like picking the best one and stuff. So it's definitely a process, but for listeners out there who are interested, definitely don't be scared by it. Just show your personality and really reflect. Yeah, exactly. And just reflect on the experiences you've had, even if they're not directly related to what this program is about, like transferable skills. Like you can just talk about different things that you've experienced that maybe are not directly related, but can help you contribute to this group in a unique way, give a unique perspective.
So much of effective leadership has to do with one's ability to present themselves effectively, not just orally or verbally in the written word, but also in the spoken word. How you present it, what you choose to present, and how clearly, concisely, and these two students, or two of the students here are in my classes, so they've heard me time and time again talk about the importance of communicating clearly, concisely, and in a compelling way. What will be interesting is in the next couple of years for each and every one of these students to look back on that initial video, and maybe we'll invite them to submit a graduating video and to gauge the difference, because I think it's fair to say already we've seen tremendous growth to your earlier question, and we expect much more in the years to come.
Anybody can be good on paper. You can't always be good in person, and I think that shows it.
Can I point out as well, we're not looking for one specific candidate. We're not looking for one specific student. The beauty of the Wilcox Scholars is the diversity of experiences, people, majors and disciplines. That learning. There's one student, Reagan, who does environmental. She's focused on environmental policy, and
she's also interested in criminology. Yeah. So getting to see her point of view plus my point of view,
it's extremely interesting seeing the dynamics of all our different disciplines come together as one and build something from the ground up, and it makes it so much more unique compared to other student orgs on campus, which are focused on one discipline doing this. And so seeing all of us come together and building this really amazing experience for ourselves, I just want everyone, the listeners, to know that we are looking for everyone.
We're no cookie cutter.
We're no cookie cutter. We don't want cookie cutters. Yeah.
One of the themes
outside the lines, outside the box.
I think one of the themes that's just emerged from this conversation is learning more about yourself through learning from others. And it is a tight-knit group, and it'll get ever tighter through graduation, and I hope and expect beyond graduation, so that Nico and Vanessa and Sandra will always have a group of peers that they can reach back to for advice and guidance, and to serve as a sounding board on their future journey.
Yeah, you've really created your own little network, and I'm excited to see how it evolves over time throughout the years. What are you most excited for the spring semester?
So Wilcox Scholars wise, we haven't yet set fully what we want to do. We have quite a few event ideas in mind. Dean Adams has been throwing ideas at us of helping us build ideas of what we truly want to do, not only like in the spring, but overall. But personally, I have quite a few application decisions that come out in the January, February area. That's probably what I'm most excited about. I'm hoping for quite a few yeses. Study abroad, my JSI application. So those would be great to have yeses, but Wilcox Scholars wise, I'm excited to actually be able to hold the events we plan.
I could also say I'm excited for some applications I'm also working on with Dr. Wilcox, Kate, and ONS, since we have that support system. So that's me on a personal level. And then on a broader level for the Wilcox Scholars, I am excited for the new cohort to come in, since we will be mentoring those, freshmen. We will be growing our ranks, and I'm excited to see who we accept, who we have, and grow from there.
Yeah, I would also like to say, so one part of the Wilcox Scholars program, like they said, is engaging in an internship or some sort of experiential learning within the program, and we actually get a scholarship to do so. So I'm excited to sort of step out of my comfort zone a bit and engage in something that is very specifically related to public policy instead of my typical health route, and really like explore something that is like I'm so passionate about. And then on top of that, just engaging in more things, like Sandra was saying, putting on the events that we plan. Hopefully no hurricanes.
No hurricanes. Dry season.
No hurricanes in the spring. So hopefully we can see that actually come to fruition in the spring semester, and maybe engaging in more things in local government together, like going to do public comment or serving the community in some aspect or way. Doing that together.
We've had that experience this semester in the commissioner's class. We had to do 6 hours of volunteer work, and then we had to do a public comment as well as a written comment for something on like a public ballot. So like it was interesting seeing what people chose. It was scary being the one, like usually I've done public comment before at the school board and things like that, but that was one thing because I was a student within that school board. But it was a great experience. And the things that he gave us to choose from if we couldn't find things ourselves, the Tampa Hillsborough Homeless Initiative has a sleep over kind of thing happening this Friday night where quite a few officials will pretty much sleep over and learn what it's like for homeless teens and what they're going through. He has given us the opportunity to, Tampa Ministries, or there's a organization that hands out like Christmas gifts and meals during the holiday time for both Thanksgiving and Christmas. So hopefully, I know a few of us will be doing that. So just getting to be able to do that stuff, like I went into the class looking at that syllabus, being like, oh, volunteer work, being like, oh, I'm going to do my 6 hours and I'm going to be done. I think I've done almost 40 hours of community service specifically for that class. So it's great being able to do like the smaller things.
Yeah, the Wilcox Scholars has taught me that the smaller things really do make a big impact on the community and yourself. Like when I was with Vanessa and helping, just people send in their ballots, and you would think, 1 ballot, 2 ballots, but then you're like, wait, no, 1 ballot, 2 ballots, that matters. Whatever way you look at it. And even if it doesn't, even if you don't like the outcome, you still help people participate in democracy. And that's what we're all about here, helping people play their role in, in the great system that we have and ensuring that it continues.
Lastly, Dr. Wilcox, before we let you go, we have some rapid-fire questions for you. So for prospective students who might not be familiar with academic titles, can you tell us what a provost does?
Well, simply stated, a provost is the chief academic officer of a university, has oversight and responsibility for all of the academic programs, the hiring and support for our professors, and ensuring that our students are provided every opportunity to succeed while at the University of South Florida and on their chosen future path.
You were a provost for 13 years, but with USF for nearly 20 at this point. How has it changed in your time here?
Wow, where to start? It's a very, very different university. I arrived at the University of South Florida 1 year after President Genshaft, after whom the Judy Genshaft Honors College is named, of course. The longest-serving president. I, too, am the longest-serving provost at the University of South Florida. President Genshaft arrived in the summer of 2000. I first stepped foot on campus a year later. And it was our great pleasure, I think, together and with the faculty and staff at the university to step on the shoulders of those who had come before us and build the University of South Florida into a very, very different institution, one that today is ranked among and rated among the very best public universities, not just in the state of Florida, but in the United States. We had always, as one of our long-term goals, sought to open the door to the Association of American Universities, the AAU, which is, if you will, the creme de la creme of public and private research universities across the United States and Canada. There are only 71 of those universities. And at the time we were admitted, there was only one in the state of Florida. So we're proud to be the second public university admitted to a very, very, very selective group. The student body is incredibly different today. You are all to be commended for being admitted to and selecting the University of South Florida. I often have conversations with members of our alumni, our board of trustees, many of whom graduated from the University of South Florida, and the standing joke is that if they were applying today, they probably wouldn't make it into University of South Florida, and that probably goes for me as well. So we're fortunate to, again, build upon the accomplishments of those in the past with a tremendously talented, curious student body, both at the undergraduate level and the graduate level, and an incredibly dedicated faculty and staff at the university that isn't satisfied with where we find ourselves today and the opportunities that we provide our students and the breadth and depth of the research activities that we're engaged in. We're very much excited about broadening those opportunities and continuing USF's incredibly exciting growth.
And lastly, what is your favorite thing about teaching honors students?
That's a great question, and I get asked that a lot because when I made the decision to step down from the provost position a couple of years ago after, as you said, nearly 15 years of service in that position, I had many opportunities to pursue teaching and research in other colleges across the university. One of the reasons I settled on the Judy Genshaft Honors College was the breadth, the diversity, the talent and appetite that students in the college bring to their educational experience. So I continually learn from and are challenged by students in the classes, and I find that incredibly satisfying and enriching, while at the same time I hope I can provide a little bit to mentor and guide them on their future path to success.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. It's been really cool hearing about the Wilcox Scholars program, and I look forward to seeing you guys grow. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
We are back in the studio, and we just finished talking to honor students and USF Provost Emeritus, Dr. Ralph Wilcox, about the Wilcox Scholars program. It was such an engaging discussion and really interesting to hear how the small moments and the small events within the community make such a big impact to the public advocacy goals they have.
I completely agree, Reva, and I really liked hearing about how they were able to help voters on election day here on campus for those that were unsure of what next steps to take, especially those who didn't live on campus. I think it's really valuable to be able to help people in that way and not only just help themselves individually grow their careers and everything.
Yeah, totally, Fabi. And they are recruiting for the new year, and I'm excited to see who gets into the program and how this program is going to grow next year, because it seems like it has a really good foundation for it.
And if you're interested in learning more about the Wilcox Scholars program, you should check out the website at usf.edu/honors. And don't forget to check the Honor Roll newsletter for any upcoming events and updates. And that'll do it for this week's episode. The Honor Roll podcast is recorded in the Judy Genshaft Honors College at the University of South Florida Tampa campus. Production assistance is provided by honor student Sandra Napolitano. Thank you all so much for listening, and please do not forget to rate and review our podcast, as we really appreciate your feedback. Please join us next week, where we will hear more honor stories and talk to more members of the Judy Genshaft Honors College. Until next time, go Bulls!